Now, to a new revamped Champions League. Before we discuss the changes and what they entail with our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol, here's what we can expect. So, as I say, our chief reporter, Kaveh, is here. Kaveh, big changes. Explain the complications for the draw.
Well, UEFA have got a problem, and the problem is that the Champions League, for instance, is expanding. There are going to be more teams in it and also more games. Now, the draw at the moment, and for a long time, has always been done manually. I'm sure you've sat in front of your TV, got a little bit bored as the draw has dragged on and balls have been drawn out of pots by ex-players. Now, the problem that UEFA have got is they've simulated what a draw for the new format would look like. And they discovered that the draw would take between 3 and 4 hours.
Wow.
And it would require 900 balls. So they decided we need to do something about this because fans are not going to accept this. So what they've done is they've come up with a new format, and what they're calling it is a hybrid draw. So basically what it means is there are going to be elements of it which will still be done by hand, but most of the draw will be carried out by a computer. So what we will have is, for instance, somebody will put their hand in the bowl, they will get out Manchester City, and then the computer will take over, and the computer will work out the 8 teams that Manchester City will play in the league phase.
Is that fair? A computer doing that?
We live in an age where a lot of people seem to believe in conspiracy theories, and I'm sure you're going to get some fans, after the draw, straight away, they'll be on social media, online, complaining, saying this is rigged, how can we trust this? This is UEFA up to its old tricks. But what UEFA are telling us today is that they've partnered with an English IT company who are going to come up with the software to conduct the draw. There will also be backup software as well in case something goes wrong with the draw, and also the whole process is going to be audited by one of the biggest accountancy firms in the world. And also what UEFA are saying is, why would we rig the draw at the initial league phase? What would be in it for us? And the way the competition is set up anyway is that all teams will be playing different opponents of varying quality. So everyone is going to get really, really tough games and easier games as well. So there's no reason, UEFA are saying, for us to rig anything. OK,
and of course we're interested in how many English sides will be in that competition the next time there's a draw. Do we have any inclination yet?
Well, at the moment there will be 4 English sides in the Champions League, the top 4 sides in the Premier League. But of course the competition is expanding. So there's a possibility that 5th place in the Premier League will get you into the Champions League. Now, for that to happen, English clubs in Europe this season need to perform really, really well. There's a UEFA coefficient table, and the top 2 countries in this coefficient table will get an extra place in the Champions League next season. And as you see, at the moment, England are 3rd. So what we need, if you're a fan of an English Premier League club, you need Arsenal to do well, Manchester City, Liverpool, Aston Villa, West Ham. You need all these sides to do well in Europe this season and hopefully get England up this table into the top 2 places, and that will get 5th place into the Champions League. There is also a crazy, highly unlikely, this is never going to happen, but you could have 7 English sides qualifying for the Champions League.
How?
Well, so you'd have 5 going through the Premier League. If West Ham win the Europa League and finish outside the top 5, they would get into the Champions League. And if Manchester City or Arsenal win the Champions League this season and finish outside the top 5, they would also get a place in the Champions League as well.
And that would never going to happen.
Exactly. It's never going to happen because we know that City and Arsenal are going to finish in the top 5, but potentially, theoretically, you could have a situation where up to 7 English sides could get into the Champions League.
Why all these changes? Doesn't it work well enough as it is?
OK, well, cynics would say this is all being done because of the threat of the European Super League. Super League guys came along, they shook everything up, they frightened everybody, and UEFA feels now that we have to retaliate and we have to give the clubs who were thinking of joining the Super League something to improve our product and make them more happy that they've stayed within the UEFA family, although they didn't really have a choice. But on the other hand, what UEFA is saying is, look, we always review our competitions, we look at ways of improving them, and it's generally accepted in football that the group stages of the Champions League are not as exciting as they should be. For instance, I know you're a Manchester City supporter. The group stages of the Champions League this season, were you that excited?
Always.
What?
No, I know what you mean.
You know, there wasn't really much at stake. It was obvious that Manchester City were going to qualify. And Manchester City only got 3 opponents in the group stages. Under this new format, Manchester City, like all other clubs, would get 8 opponents. And those opponents will be some of the best sides in Europe. So, for instance, you could see next season Manchester City, Real Madrid, Manchester City, Barcelona, Manchester City, PSG, straight from the get-go in the league phase of the competition. So UEFA say this is going to be much more exciting, better quality games, more equally matched games as well. That is what UEFA are saying, but of course other people will be saying this is far too complicated. How are you going to have a league with 36 teams? I mean, why are they keep tinkering with the format? There's already too many things changing in football. But UEFA assure us this is going to improve the Champions League and fans will love the new format.
But we'll never get 36 names on our big screen, will we?
That is the problem we've got. I know. How are we going to get the league table on this screen?
Ridiculous, UEFA.
I think we're going to need a new screen. or maybe flip it the other way.
Yeah, good work. Thank you. Carve Solokol, our chief reporter there.